Julian Clary, how are you?
I'm good. Does that mean I'm here for an hour, or are there other people coming in?
No, you're here for the hour. Did nobody tell you?
No, I'll just relax into it then.
Please, take a seat. I've got you a cup of tea. Is everything okay?
It's a lovely polystyrene cup. Yes, I couldn't be happier.
Welcome to the BBC. Now then, the thing about you is, the last time I saw you, you'd got a shaved head, and you were doing camp numbers in the style of Lee Bowery. That was nice.
I thought you were peeping through my neck curtains. Yes, that was... an interesting phase of my life. I was in Taboo, Boy George's Taboo, and I loved that. And I never thought I'd do another musical because I'm not really known for my singing, but I did that. And then last year I played the MC in Cabaret. I think those are the only two roles for me in musical theatre, but you never know. Life is full of surprises, like, ballroom dancing in your late 40s. I didn't have that on my list of things to do, but I've learnt just to go with the flow and say yes to anyone that offers me any job.
With good money.
Not in that particular case, but no, just all part of life's rich pattern. It's something my mother taught me. She said, just say yes. Otherwise, what stops you saying yes is often fear, fear of public humiliation doing the ballroom dancing. I thought, I don't think do I really want to? She said, just say yes. And in fact, I learned, it's changed my life in many ways. I've learned to listen to music differently, and I've learned to be brave. There you are, punters, just say yes.
You said there that you're not that known for your singing, yet every show I've ever seen you do, whether it be comedy or otherwise, you try and sing.
I don't mind singing for comedy purposes. I write my own ditties, like, uncanny and unnatural, and when you're doing a live show, it's quite a nice way to punctuate it from the endless innuendo. You think, we'll just give everyone a little break now while I sing something. But I sometimes if you're working with a musical director, they say, what key would you like to sing this in? I don't understand any of that. I don't pretend to be musical. When I did Cabaret, I was sent for intensive training with a woman called Mary Hammond, who she trains Catherine Jenkins and all the proper people, and she likes a challenge. Yes, it's just a different medium of getting laughs generally for me.
And would you say you were a disappointment to her, or in the end, did she manage to turn you into something of a singer?
She did miracles, I think. There's that particularly complicated song in Cabaret, which I'm just floundering about to remember which one it is. Anyway, there's a lot of words in it, and it's a bit like a house of cards. If you trip over one word, all is lost. I can't remember a single word of any of the songs now, but when I do my own songs, I make a feature of forgetting the words, and that's another comic device. But you can't change a word when you're in a proper musical, and it's not all about me. I'm just a cog in the wheel, so it's a different ball game. Money, 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 that's the song. If you happen to be rich and you feel like a night's entertainment and you pay for a gay escapade, if you happen to be... that's all I can remember. But it's, you see how it goes, it's quite fast.
And of course, it's unforgiving, a musical, because there's so many things around you. There's the lighting, the scenery, and of course the band that really aren't going to stop for you. You've got to keep up with them.
Yeah, and then at the Lyric Theatre where we were doing Cabaret, the band were behind you. So on screens, concealed from the audience, but on the balcony, you would see the musical director's face. When I would go wrong, he would roll his eyes, and you would just feel about 2 inches tall.
It must be like when your child disappoints you and does something wrong and gets arrested. It must be the same feeling, all that effort, and you're still cocking it up.
I know, and I could never quite work out where to come in, and the song starts. And so I would have to watch him, and he would do something or other with his baton. But, sometimes I'd miss it. I couldn't help myself.
I saw you twice in Taboo, and I remember you did the act there that you didn't know when to come in. I wasn't sure whether it was part of the act because it got a laugh, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, that was comedy. Ich bin Kunst, that song was I am art. Ich bin Kunst. Happy days.
Absolutely. And the thing I love is comedy, and I love a comedy performer, and you're unique and you're different. Is it hard being you, though? Because especially when you come and talk to an idiot like me, there's an expectation you've always got to be funny and, of course, camp. And you're actually really intelligent and serious about what you do, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much. We won't take a vote on that. That side of me can come out in books, I think. But I decided at quite an early age that, first of all, I wanted to be a pop star, then I wanted to be an actor. And I have certain mannerisms and a certain way of speaking. And luckily, I thought, well, I would just work with this, things that might be a disadvantage. I used to go to auditions and they said, oh, you're auditioning for the part of a lumberjack. I said, oh, okay. and I never ever got any acting work. I thought, I will make myself the product. That's the only way to go if I want to find a niche. And so I accept that's what people expect, and I can deliver that if that's the way it's going.
We're back with Julian Clary. It's Alex Belfield talking to a really fascinating guy who's done every part of show business. Is there anything that you enjoy doing the most, or is it nice to be able to do light-hearted Paul O'Grady 1 minute and then out doing your mucky gags the next?
I love the way my life has worked out, and I like the variety. I couldn't do any one thing. So writing is a nice, satisfying, solitary occupation, and then I can go and do just a minute, which is exercising a different part of the brain, and then my own tours and talking to people like you. Do the listeners know you've got ginger hair?
Why did you need to bring that up?
Well, it's just struck me. How are you coping with it?
It's not great, I've got to be honest with you. If ever there was a disadvantage in life, I think this is probably the greatest.
It's the handy if you're going to a party or something.
What, a Halloween party? What are you trying to say?
Well, it's quite jolly for a party, ginger hair, but then there's all the rest of your life. I think radio is ideal for you. Actually, it's a very nice haircut, and it's. Well, I'm warming to it. It's growing on me. There's always hats. You could wear a hat.
Try a hat, you think?
Yes. You've got nice features and you're very well presented, so I take it all back.
Thank you for noticing, and I noticed this in your live shows, that I would never sit within the first 10 rows of your show because you have an eye to see the peculiar and the odd, don't you?
Yes, I think you're very wise. I would be onto you like a Rottweiler. I think this is a gift from God, a little cheery red-headed man at the front.
The little freak of nature.
I'll pay you to come on tour. Just sit there every night.
Let's get back to you because you're the most important. Your childhood, I've read your autobiography. What was it called? A Young Man's Passage?
That's correct. There may be a follow-up called Further Up My Passage.
And I was noticing the name of your tours as well in doing the research, and it's just so brilliant how you think of these. The Mincing Machine and Lord of the Mince.
Lord of the Mince, and the last one was Natural Born Mincer. You see, there's a theme emerging. I want the public to know what they're getting.
At least nobody's going to come in and be shocked. I mean, it's not like you're going to be surprised by the type of show.
No, they know they're going to have a camp old night and featuring me, and it's. I like it when you come out and people already like you. In the old days, people would just say, "Oh, well, let's go and see some comedy," and you'd get what you're given. But if you're paying good money to see Lord of the Mince, then mincing will be involved.
Is it hard being you when you're on tour? Because there's all that dressing up and all the makeup. I mean, here today, you're sat here just looking very average.
Would you like to rephrase that? No, I love it. My interest in show business has always involved dressing up. I used to go and I've got an older sister who was a tiller girl, and she used to do all that sort of glamour dancing with feathers and headdresses. I thought, oh, what a life, how fabulous. And although I was a comedian, I could, as was the fashion in the 80s when I started, just gone out in my jeans and T-shirt. And I thought, no one else is wearing slap and black rubber. I'll corner that market.
Was there ever a costume and you said, no, that's just going too far?
Well, there wasn't. I look at pictures now. There's something of me on YouTube wearing the tiniest, skimpiest black rubber bikini with star holes cut out and my nipples on display. And I'm really quite a shy person. And, I'm the son of a policeman, and I don't know how this all happened. But it seemed a good idea at the time. I don't wear black rubber anymore. It would be undignified.
And do you find has gravity taken a hold and it just wouldn't look right?
Well, it was of its time. There's the same with Lycra. So one has to act with dignity.
You as a child, I gather you were always a bit different.
Yes, I was. I was a very solitary child, and I didn't have any friends really at school. I was perfectly happy. I'm not asking for sympathy. I had this farmyard animal set, and I remember I had a green bedroom carpet, so I had this whole fantasy world going on with all the animals and Tom the farmer and his wife Jill, and So yeah, I've always had an active imagination, and I'll speed through my life. But the Catholic Benedictine school was fairly oppressive, and corporal punishment was rife, and so on. And they weren't inclined to encourage me. It was everyone had to look the same and act the same and play rugby, and that was a difficult time. And then I left and went to Goldsmiths College to university, which was the complete opposite. You're encouraged to be an individual, and so I rather blossomed at that time. And yes, I never felt the need to suppress myself.
What gave you the inner strength to fight that and be individual?
I think my mother, really. I think one has to look to the parents. My father was always a bit bewildered by me, and I was his only son, and probably not quite what he had in mind. But my mother and my mother's side of the family were always very funny. Although she was a career woman, a probation officer, she would do funny things like walk into the room with a pair of knickers on her head, and I think she encouraged the sensitive side of me, and she actually named me after a priest called Father Julian that she knew when she was growing up. So yes, we'll put it down to my mother, I think.
And the thing about your later act was that you could say the most outrageous things, but it felt like it was coming from your grandma. How have you managed to create that?
I don't know. It's something that just happened. I didn't think about it. But because I speak in a certain way, and I was well brought up and I speak nice, I think that helps. And it's also a comic device. If you're saying something filthy it's more of a surprise.
You mentioned earlier Tom the Farmer, who was in your dreams or your bedroom at the very least. What did you do with Tom the Farmer?
He was a little plastic figure. Actually, he sat in a tractor, so his legs were permanently bent. And he used to trot around, and I would make up these stories. And his wife, Jill, who was holding a bucket, got chewed up by our dog Monty, and she had no legs, and so I would incorporate that into her disability. Became part of life on the farm, and she would prop herself up against a couple of pigs or a bit of fencing, and life went on.
You're talking about this as if it's real.
Well, it was very real, and it was my favourite thing to play with. So it was like my own soap opera, I guess.
And nothing's really changed. When I read your new book, which is called Devil in Disguise, it really is the same thing, isn't it? You just thinking of stuff, in this case, just writing it down, whereas in those days you just lived it. Well,
I think that's what novel writing is. It's a story, and I don't plan my books out like everyone tells me I should. You're supposed to have a big board and post-it notes and work out the plot in each chapter. I just plough ahead and see where it leads me, and the first draft certainly is where you're telling yourself the story, and that's not dissimilar to what I was doing as a child. With the farmyard animals. Once I've got the first draft done, the fun part is the second draft where you're fleshing it all out, and you live in this imaginary world. You have a whole gallery of characters that almost tell you, if not the story, then the dialogue. Once you get over halfway, it's just a question of tuning in. Fascinating way to carry on, because I wrote most of this while I was on the Strictly Come Dancing tour. So I had my dancing life, and there I was at the O2 giving my samba and my quick step, and then I would retreat to my hotel room and have this whole contrasting creative life.
I've read this book and it's fascinating because it's drag queens, murder and betrayal, basically. But what I loved about it was just the little nuances. At one point you talked about cauliflower cheese, and I could imagine you saying it. That's always nice when you read a book and you can imagine the author telling the story.
It's an advantage I have. It's an advantage well-known people have. There's all this talk about finding your voice. I'm well aware that the reader is going to hear me in their ear as they're reading it. That's just my good fortune, really. I don't think I planned to write as I got older. I didn't think of it. But if you'd asked me as a child how my life would go, I would have said writing rather than comedy. Because of my shyness, I didn't seem, I could never imagine myself on stage performing, but I seem to have come back to that. And also, I'm not obsessed with dignity, but I thought, what would be, where do I see myself at 50? And I thought, well, you should be living in a country house and maybe writing the odd book. I'd like to be a recluse, really. I'd like to be have a gun and shoot anyone that came up the path to bother me, like journalists. But it's not going to happen just yet.
You actually believe that, don't you? You really would like to be just left alone?
Yes. I think part of me would. Would I? Would I get bored? Would I hate it? Would I miss the attention? The idea of saying enough, I'm now going to live a private life appeals to me.
All right, we're going to take a piece of music, then we'll come back and talk more about the book and, of course, what you've done since. We're up to 18 at the moment, and that's really where the story begins. What type of music do you like listening to on your iPod or at home?
Yodeling, mainly. There's a woman called Mary Schneider. I'm serious. She can yodel the classics. The William Tell Overture, it's fabulous. I like Aboriginal music. There's a man called Archie Roach, and indeed his wife, Ruby Hunter.
We're up to 18 then, and this is the point where you meet a friend who really does affect your life forever and gives you a new direction and a new insight into how to live your life, doesn't he?
Yes, Nick. We're talking about my one friend I had at college. Well, with the pair of us, I think we were about 13 when The Naked Silver Servant was shown. Quentin Crisp, who had a tough time and said, his experience of life was a rush from cradle to grave under heavy fire or something. So that kind of warrior-like embracing of your own difference and his determination that he had a right to be, as he put it, an effeminate homosexual, coming into our experience at an age where we were what you call impressionable. I think that those were factors. And so Nick and I, people would shout out Quentin when they saw us. Nick even dyed his hair red. So we became very odd at school and enjoyed that kind of status, although there was a lot of aggression that went with it. And then when I left and went to university and met girls for the first time and was doing a drama and English course, and everything just sort of flowered from there. And then when I left university, I'd already started doing a cabaret act with a girl called Linda, and we were called Glad and May. So we were just starting. That was actually still do jokes now that I did then, rather embarrassingly. And we used to go down people's handbags and dangerous bits of improvisation. She was a punk rocker. She was in a band called Linda and Her Genitals, which was of the time. So I learned a lot, and looking back on it, I can see that was how that began, and I still like, as we know, messing around with the audience and just being silly. It just brings the house down. It's that uncomfortableness that you don't go in a lady's handbag. We're trained to think that, and you do. Oh, yes. And also because you don't know what's in it. There might be nothing, but, some house keys. Can you hear my stomach? I'm very, very embarrassed. Would you like a snack? Are you okay? We need a little bit of background music to cover it up. Have the BBC got any snacks? Have you got something in your pocket that I could suck on? A Murray mint? I've got a chewing gum. How about that? Well, no, I can't be chewing. It's not what your listeners want to hear. Are you chewing while you're interviewing me? I don't want bad breath. We're very close, and I'd hate you to go writing on websites that I have bad breath. You've already slagged off my hair and my clothes. So I don't want anything else writing. He's chewing the cud here. Where were we? That's right. So there, Linda and I were doing this double act, and she auditioned for a theatre job, and she got it. So then I was left on my own, and I did our double act as a solo act, calling myself Gillian Pieface for a while, which then transformed into the Joan Collins fan club. And Gillian, that was a drag act, and I was never comfortable with that. So that's where the black rubber came in. I thought, I want to dress up, I want to wear makeup, but I don't want to be a female impersonator. So Joan Collins fan club, Friday Night Live, Sticky Moments, present day. There you are. But the interesting thing, as you rumble away, is that you really took risks, and the time when you were being outrageous was not a time that was necessarily good for gay people. I mean, in 2009, we all know that everything's fine and the Alan Carrs can do their act, no problem, nobody raises an eyebrow. Was there ever a moment where you thought, I'm going too far here, people's reaction is not good, or were you always okay? No, I quite like going too far. I think you could, if you want to find where the line is, you can only find it by crossing it. Well, it was a very oppressive time in the 80s, and I felt very self-righteous about my sexuality, and I felt that the world, it needed, ignorance and fear and prejudice are all interlinked. Certainly prejudice and ignorance. I thought, well, if they're ignorant, it needs to be demystified. So I went on stage and very graphically explained what gay men do to each other, and I feel the public benefited from that.
Did we need to know, though? That's the question.
I like making people laugh, but I also like the sharp intake of breath that you get from people where they can't quite believe that you've done that. I mean, it's not wouldn't be shocking now, and I try not to go on and on and on about my sexuality in my new show, because people just shrug at you. But
I think we've got the drift as well, haven't we?
You know which side of the church I sit on.
We're not wondering about that. And then, of course, you go on to be a huge successful TV star. It wasn't mainstream ever. Did you know you were innovating at the time, or was it just your life?
I didn't know how else it was supposed to be. It was a very different time when I did Sticky Moments for Channel 4. None of the executives even came to the recording. They just trusted you to deliver it. And I did things like pick the contestants out of the queue outside the studio. Well, I don't think you could do that now, because they'd want to vet everyone, and they'd want, everyone that appears on game shows appears to be quite naturally extrovert and wacky, and that's what they think will work. But I didn't know who they were, so it was all. Well, in retrospect, quite dangerous, but it was just a televisual form of my stage act.
The next thing I want to talk about is the Comedy Awards, where it all went wrong.
Oh, yes.
And you went, and now you're back, which is great. In retrospect, I honestly believe it was a storm in a teacup. You made some comment about an important person that was perfectly within Julian Clary's act. Was it just because it was a quiet news day that The Sun effectively ruined your career at that point?
I don't know, probably. I mean, I was bemused by the reaction. I know that I'd said something a bit rude, but didn't think it was that rude to warrant front pages. I have a different take on it now in retrospect. I think everything happens for a reason, and I was going through quite a difficult time, and there was a lot of sedatives involved. I was on sleeping tablets and Valium, and I think that I needed a break, and this is, the universe sometimes gives you what you want when you can't ask for it yourself. So I needed a break, and if you want to clear your diary, go on live television and be rude about the Chancellor, and you'll find that bookings are cancelled, and you've got a good 6 months to get yourself together. So I think, thank goodness that happened in a way.
How does it feel when you wake up in the morning and you get your papers delivered and you're on the front page of them and you're just little Julian Clary in your little house, suddenly national news?
It's not a little house. I didn't like it. I mean, infamy was not part of the plan. I didn't. But it's. I mean, I can't believe we're still talking about it some 15 years later. But here we are, and taxi drivers tell me what they were doing at that time and where they were. And I know when I die that the obituaries will mention it. So I was talking to Boy George recently about it, and he said, it's like him saying he'd rather have a cup of tea than sex. It's something I've got to learn to live with. It was quite a good joke. At the time, I'm not known for writing sort of
great jokes.
No, I do more recycling is what I do, but it was quite a pleasing joke at the time. So there you go.
Then you come back, and suddenly we find you on programmes like Strictly Come Dancing. Who'd have thought it? You mincing to great songs on primetime Saturday night TV.
I know. I didn't plan it, and when I agreed to do it, I thought, well, I'll just be in this for a couple of weeks and then I'll be ejected. What I hadn't thought through was that you're getting 5 hours dancing private tuition with a world-class dancer such as Erin Bogue, and she did improve me. And you do, I mean, people don't like saying it anymore, go on a journey, but I did go on a journey, and I did start to want to get through for Erin's sake as much as anything. And it's a weird thing, but it's changed me in lots of ways. If I hadn't gone through that experience, I wouldn't have written the books afterwards, because I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could dance, and some might say I can't, but I certainly didn't think I could write a book. But then when you get through to the final of the dancing thing, I don't know, it sort of opens up your mind, and I thought, well, there's only fear that's holding me back from doing these other things I want to do.
And then you went on tour with the show. Is that nice, being Julian Clary, when suddenly people are saying nice things about you and little old ladies love you because you're a great dancer?
Yes, I mean, I didn't realise how huge Strictly Come Dancing is until we went on the tour. It's people are beside themselves, and a lot of women of a certain age, and they're just having a fabulous time, and they know all about the show. They know who's partnered who over the years, and it was a very happy experience.
And of course, you're now going back on tour this year with your own show. Will this be the new sophisticated Julian with maybe some classical numbers and some dancing and less of the camp humour?
No, it'll be filth. It'll be filth. That's what I want. Well, I'm not going to be wearing black rubber. It's a kind of intimate show. It's me talking about myself and being funny along the way. But I will be revealing a new, hitherto unknown talent, unknown to the public, that is. Oh. In the second part of the show.
Well, I can't wait for that. And of course, you're 50 this year, which you mentioned earlier. How does it feel waking up one morning and realising that you're 50?
It's nothing to worry about. It sounds like a comedy age. I'm 50 or I'm 51. It's a long way from your 20s. That's true. But there are advantages. You don't have all... I was very anxious young man in my 20s, having panic attacks all the time and thinking I want to do this, that and the other, and I don't know if I can, and will I achieve this? Or at least when you get to 50 you think, oh well, I know what I've done, I've achieved this, and I've written this, and I've been on this show, and that's that. No one can take that away from you, and you get more content. I'm quite content with my life, and I'm still here. I've survived, and I don't mean that entirely flippantly. A lot of my friends, and I have some ex-boyfriends who've died, and so I kind of owe it to them to carry on.
You created something that's so new and so different, and I do genuinely believe that people will talk about you for years and years to come, long after you're dead. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so as long as I can make people laugh. I'm interested in big proper belly laughs. I don't like the sort of intellectual tittering that some people might offer you. I love playing Glasgow and these places where people really go out in great big crowds, get slaughtered, and then come and see you and have a good night out.
And of course, one of the things we know you for is Fanny the Wonder Dog. No more Fanny, but we have got a new dog, and a dog that you just love so much. I saw you recently on Paul O'Grady. Valerie
we're talking about, and it's... uncanny you should mention this. I was on Paul O'Grady's show the other day, and picture the scene. I came out, he said, on tonight's show we've got Julian Clary, homeless puppies and McFly. I thought, well, I'm just not leaving this studio without a new special friend. And it wasn't to be McFly, although they were charming. I picked up one of the homeless puppies, and I'm afraid I bonded, and little Albi, he's coming to live with me on my small holding.
And do you think Valerie's going to get the hump?
I think she will sulk for about a week, but she's 9 now. I think it'll give her a new lease of life, and I wouldn't do anything to upset her, but if she really hates it, then I'll sort something out for Albi. But I think, I know psychically... I've met all my dogs in a very kind of strange psychic way, and it's like eyes across the room, you're my dog, you're my man, you're my girl. And it was the same with Valerie, the same with Fanny, and then I had this moment of revelation live on television with Albi, and so I'm very sure that it will all work out well.
What is he?
Well, parents unknown. I think his mother was a Jack Russell arrangement, but they don't know what the father is, and there is an awful possibility that he's going to have one of these great big kind of Rottweiler bodies, and then these little stumpy legs. Most unfortunate, but I will press on.
When you said stumpy legs and Rottweiler-like body, you looked at me then with a raised eyebrow. You weren't trying to insinuate anything, were you?
Oh, you're getting paranoid now. I've really upset you. Have you had stumpy? Well, yes.
Julian, congratulations on being you. 50 years old, I can't believe it. And you only still look about early 40s. I'm not going to go too far and say you look in your 20s, because you don't. But you do look great for it, and people always say that.
Thank you very much. It's country living. I really let myself go in the country. I don't wash. I don't shave. There's no need because you don't see anyone. And do you know, the other day I drank some tap water. Isn't it remarkable? Who'd have thought? Then, of course, if I'm coming into town to talk to nice ginger people at the BBC, then I have a bath and I shave, I exfoliate, and only drink water from a bottle.
Absolutely. You seem all settled now, and is 50 a good place to be for you? Professionally, it couldn't be any better. You've got your house in the country. I understand you live close to Paul O'Grady, don't you?
That's unfortunate, yes. You do hear this sort of Liverpudlian coming over the fence. But yes, he's actually quite a good neighbour. He makes me laugh.
And of course, I was reading in the paper this week about your partner. I know you don't talk a lot about that, and you're always very private. Are you going to get married or anything like that in the future?
Oh, I don't know. We do talk about it. It's funny, I was doing a show the other day and someone was interviewing me and they said, well, where did you meet your boyfriend and how long have you been going out and all this? And they said, what is it you like about him? And I thought, this is kind of crossing the line. It felt disrespectful to talk, and indeed presumptuous, who's to say I do like him. I haven't told him that. So... we might, but it's certainly no one will know about it if we do. We won't be in Hello magazine. It will be done very discreetly. I'm more likely to have some sort of pagan ritual where we both jump over a broom handle.
Well, you don't want to open yourself up too much, do you?
I beg your pardon.
Julian Clary, thank you so much for talking to me. This new book, Devil in Disguise, it's really worth reading. You can hear Julian in it. Congratulations with your new tour, up and down the country. Yes, I will be mincing around, Lord of the Mince. It starts properly in October and I'll be everywhere.